Do politics play too big of a role in FAA's decision making? Absolutely yes. This has been my biggest problem with the FAA's aeromedical division. I have constantly said the FAA aeromedical fear, right? The fear of those doctors is not making an unsafe national airspace system, but rather having to sit in front of the Senate in a congressional hearing and answer questions about why they certified an individual. So what ends up happening there is they end up making decisions based on their fear of Congress. And they don't make decisions based on clinical medicine, which is what we are begging for, which is what the regs call. If they were making decisions based on clinical medical evaluations or clinical medical evidence, then the regulations would reflect that. The policies would reflect that, the guidance would reflect that. And as clinical medicine evolves, and as we learn more about different conditions and different treatment methods, we would expect that policies, guidelines, and regulations to reflect that evolution in clinical medicine. We don't see that. In fact, we see quite the opposite. We see the FAA who have dug a trench back in the 80s and said, this is as far as we're willing to go with clinical medicine. And the regulations matched that back then. So the only clear answer to, well, then what is guiding the decision making if it's not clinical medicine? How are you making decisions about what pilot can and cannot fly? It's fear. It's fear of those doctors from legal liability, despite the fact that we have Federal Tort Immunity Act. It's fear of those doctors from having to sit in front of Congress in a Senate hearing and answer questions about why they certified who and for what reasons. And it's fear about not GS climbing or promoting. That's the problem. And what that culminates into is an environment that really isn't safe, right? It makes pilots circumnavigate medical regs, right? It makes them not seek treatment. It makes them not report treatment because they're having to adopt to a clinical medical standard from the 80s. And it essentially makes the airspace unsafe. And I really think that unfortunately, this is a phrase that I've said forever, that the FAA's regs and their policies and their guidelines are written in blood. The only thing that makes them change those guidelines, the only thing that makes them change those regulations is when somebody dies, when there's a significant crash, when there's something catastrophic. In that situation, they'll change their regs because in that situation, the political pressure, the public pressure, the court of public opinion slightly overweighs their fear of the political arm in Congress. It's really sad to see, and I wish that we could go back to where clinical medicine ruled all.